Chelsea against Manchester United, both sides with, well, Man United, we're going to come to that very, very shortly, with someone who's a new signing who can actually play, but from Chelsea's point of view, Hakim Ziyech, who is currently with Ajax, will see the season out there and join Chelsea in the summer. 27-year-old Moroccan international, Jamie. He brings creative attacking flair.
Yeah.
The general consensus is that he's not quite Eden Hazard as yet, but there's similarities. Is that something for Chelsea fans to get pretty excited about?
Oh, I'd definitely be excited about him. What I saw of him last season in the Champions League for Ajax, I thought he was special. You know, playing off the right side, left-footed, coming in, explosive, travelled with the ball, pick passes. I think his assists, I think he's first ranked over in Holland. So I think he's a fantastic addition to their team. He's definitely going to improve them, and yeah, it's definitely something Chelsea fans would be excited about for sure.
Chris, does it fly in the face perhaps of where they were forced, Chelsea, with regard to, yes, it was a lovely story that they're using all homegrown players. Obviously, they couldn't actually sign players, so that's where they were left. Does he come in and upset the chemistry of that?
No, because I think he's a good age, 26 now. It's a good age to bring someone to the club. It's always good to freshen it up, I think, as well. And he suits the way that Chelsea and Frank Lampard want to play. As Jamie says, coming off that right-hand side, but not just he can see a pass as well, and I think that's what a lot of wingers, they want to get the head down and just dribble and get. He actually plays with his head up, similar to Eden Hazard in terms of he sees things in front of him. And if I was a Chelsea fan, I'd be really excited about this, signing, because I think he could be another one in the conveyor belt from Ajax. That they just bring players in from other clubs or through their own and sell them on for an absolute fortune. So fair play to Ajax, they do it properly, that's for sure.
And you mentioned, Jamie, about what we've seen from him in the Champions League. Obviously, Tottenham well aware of his abilities. Does that prove it's the type of player that they can operate at the very top level, perhaps where Chelsea obviously are aiming for at the end of this season and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously they're looking, they have to look at Champions League. He would have looked at Chelsea and gone, it's a top football club and they're going to be Champions League football. So they need to get over the line, because it's still all to play for. But I think with going into the next season, he'll be looking at Chelsea going, this is a club that's going to be going somewhere. I want to be part of that. And he's definitely a top football player. And he's going to make a big difference to the team. What he does is, Chelsea have got, Hudson-Odoi.
Does he threaten
Willian.
someone like Hudson-Odoi?
Of course. I mean, if you're going to spend £37 million on a player, he's going to want to be coming in and he's going to be starting. He's definitely a massive addition to the side and he's going to improve them. It gives them something different because you've got Mason Mount who plays off the left, he comes inside, and then you have Willian and Hudson-Odoi who've been playing off the right, but they're wingers and they like to get to the byline. He's not going to do that, Ziyech. He's going to come inside and he's going to want to play, he's going to want to link up, and he can see a pass, so he's going to give them something different and it's going to add quality and something different.
Is that Willian as well, though?
Does it end Willian? You have to look at it and go, it's Willian's been a massive player for Chelsea this season in that position. Does it mean he shuffles the pack and move Willian? Or Willian, is he looking at this being the last season for Willian and where he's going to go? Because, obviously he's getting age and he's been there a while, but he's been different class this season. So I think, look, what Chelsea are doing is bringing in players that are going to add quality, because they've got a fantastic set of young players at the club, but you still need to add that bit of class.
The competition, you played your best football when you're under pressure.
Yeah, of course.
The competition for places, and yes, it's exciting. You're spending a lot of money, but the competition for places is the most important thing. And a team that is challenged up the top of the Premier League, they need competition. And the youngsters, yes, it's good they've had an opportunity. Young Billy Gilmour as well get promoted to the first team squad this week as well. So it's not as if, because the ban's been lifted now, Chelsea are going to go and spend an absolute fortune and just grab players for the sake of grabbing them. There is still a pathway there for the youngsters to get through, which I think is very, very important. You can't just, because the windows, the transfer ban's been lifted, we're going to go and sign players again now. It doesn't work like that.
I also find a bit strange is that they've signed him now. It would have been a great addition to try and get in January, and they might have had to pay a bit more or pay a premium. But the fact that they've signed him now is a strange one, because Tottenham, at the end of the season...
It could be, but it could also save them money as well, because if he finishes the season...
It's great business. Yeah. It's great business. It's a great business, but I'm surprised that there hasn't been other clubs that have gone, you know what, 37 million for a player of his quality.
It sounds relatively cheap in today's market. I mean, it's a ridiculous sum of money, isn't it? But for the player that you get, I mean, the reports are that Ajax are happy to sell him, but not right now because of fighting on several fronts, both domestically and in Europe. And it seems he moves on from them at the end of the season with their blessing. What I'm intrigued to know, perhaps going into next season, has Frank Lampard looked at a portion of the pitch that perhaps he needs more goals from, more creativity from?
I don't think that, as a manager, you always want to strengthen. And I think, like, for me, I mean, I've never been in the position, but I think if you're bringing players to any football club, they need to be better than what's there, or there's no point in bringing them. You know, and it's up to the ones who are there right now to you know, once the new guys come in, say it's the summer or the transfer window, whenever it is, to show that, no, you know, trust me, I'm better than what's there.
So, is he the type of player that would improve what we're seeing here statistically from Frank Lampard and his men?
100%. There's no doubt that you're going to, if you're spending that type of money, not just from him himself, if you're pushing other people on as well. And that's taking it back to the competition for places is a big thing. You know, if there is nothing, if you're going into training and it's a case of, it doesn't really matter if I train at my best, I'm going to play, it's not good. Whereas if you go in knowing you need to train properly every single day to get yourself on that in the starting 11 at the weekend, that can only be good for Chelsea.
I think what they're trying to do is a little bit like what Liverpool have done is they've seen where they need to strengthen. Chelsea need to buy a striker and they needed to buy another winger. You know, what they don't want to do is block the pathway to, say, your Mason Mounts and, you know, the Tomoris and people like that. But they knew that they need to strengthen that position and as a right wing. They knew that Willian was coming to the end and they need to look at something else, and he's a big addition. I think they need to go and sign another striker.
Who do you look for then in that case?
Well, there's talk of Moussa Dembele.
Oh, you know all about him.
Yeah.
Is he good enough to... Because it's Tammy Abraham, he's got 13 goals this season. Pulisic and Mount, they've got 5 each. So they do need to address that side of the game, don't they?
I think there's always kind of been a bit of a problem for Chelsea over the last few years as a number 9. They haven't had that guy who's really stepped up to the plate. Love Tammy Abraham. I think he's had a fantastic season. He gives you a lot in terms of work rate, but I think he needs more of a competition. I don't think Batshuayi's done enough. Giroud definitely didn't do enough, and you've seen Lampard is really trying to look to get him out. So I think someone like Moussa Dembele, who's scoring goals at Lyon, it will cost him a few quid, but he's definitely got the...
It's rumoured to be about £60 million that get him out of that.
He's definitely got the attributes.
Honestly, see if I am one of the top teams in England right now, I would go and take Hudson-Odoi from Celtic. I mean, I know a lot of people will turn around and say, you know, Moussa Dembele had to move away and Virgil van Dijk had to move away. For me, Hudson-Odoi is a top player, and I think he could be someone who could come down here and actually make a difference to someone like a Chelsea, like a Manchester United. I've said it before, cut out the middleman in terms of, you know, going to Southampton or going to, no disrespect to those clubs, to go and prove yourself. For me, I firmly believe Hudson-Odoi could go for a substantial fee from Celtic, but he could do it in this league. There's no doubt about that.
I think Chelsea are going to be looking a bit bigger than that, if I'm honest.
Think so?
I think, look, it's Chelsea Football Club. If you're bringing someone in from Lyon and bringing someone in from Celtic, you know, obviously the guys, you know, doing fantastic up there. But I think the fans, the Chelsea fans, are going to expect now that they can go out and buy players and they sign someone like Hakim Ziyech. I think they're going to be looking for another big money sign if they're going to go for a number 9, which I think they need to challenge Abraham. Then I think they're going to go
also,
big.
you know, like, if you go and speak to a lot of people inside from Celtic, they would say that this guy is ahead of Moussa Dembele.
Okay.
But because all of a sudden now the bigger, you know, for the worldwide audience, he's went to France.
Moussa Dembele's further down the line. He's been at Celtic. He's done it. He moved
But so was Virgil van Dijk. Virgil van Dijk has not changed much from what he was at Celtic to what he is at Liverpool, but he's had to go via Southampton to prove to everybody that I can do in the Premier League. It is utter nonsense. Like, they're tested, you know, these guys are tested at European level, which a lot of other teams down here ain't. These guys can perform at a level. If you give them the opportunity, and I've said it before, for me, Hudson-Odoi could leave Celtic and go into one of the top teams in England and perform. He shouldn't need to go to another team to prove himself if I'm good enough.
Does Alfredo Morelos fall into the same category then?
I think they're different players.
Okay.
I think that Hudson-Odoi for me is probably a better all-round player. There's no doubt Alfredo Morelos could perform and do things in the English Premier League. He could, but I don't think he's at the level of what Hudson-Odoi does. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. I think that as an all-round player, like you need to be nowadays to be a top striker in the English Premier League. You need to have the full shebang as such.
Do you think Chelsea are going to look at him though and look at it and go, you know, there's probably 6 teams in Scotland where, and obviously the Champions League, that they're going to be competing in that, where he's really, really testing himself.
Yeah, but
and then you look at Moussa Dembele, who's at Lyon, who's playing at the top league in France, week in, week out.
There's only 2 teams in it, or there's only one.
Yeah, but it's still a massive league, you know.
We see it, but for me, when you look at what, you know, the stats and everything that everybody goes into nowadays, and like when you go and watch Hudson-Odoi, you could tell it oozes quality. There's no doubt about it. And you know, for me, I know I can see it. I'm not looking too far in the future, but I can see he will come down here, perform at a level, and somebody will then have to, like Moussa Dembele, by the way, because nobody in England would have touched him for the 20 million he left Celtic, but now they're going to go and pay Lyon 60 million to bring him back to English football. Why not just go and give Celtic the 20, 25 million and take him? Like, it's like everybody goes on about Scottish football as if it's, listen, there's a good standard there, there's a good product, and there's some good players.
Okie dokie, let's talk about the other end of the pitch. Kepa has been in the news, hasn't he? He's not been in the side, he's been in the news because he's not been in the news. So, I mean, he could be coming back after this break that they've had, might be playing on Monday night. Is that a part of the pitch? Again, we're talking about Ajax, Onana, their goalkeeper, reportedly interesting Barcelona, PSG, amongst others. Do they dip their hand in the pocket in the summer? I mean, they've already got the most expensive goalkeeper in the world, but to go again...
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one for Lampard, that, you know, because they spent an awful lot of money on a keeper who they're expecting to be one of the best in the world, and he hasn't been that. You know, you can see from his stats, and when you watch him, I just find him weak. You know, I find him as a weak keeper, like around the box, he's commanding his area, shots that go in I find quite soft, and, you know, the stats don't lie at the end of the day. You can all look at stats, but they don't lie, and you can see that he's one of the lowest ranked in terms of his saves, so...
I suppose it's pretty fundamental for a goalkeeper, isn't it? I mean, we like goalkeepers that can play up from the back, but when you see something as black and white as that, I know from your point of view, Kris, the side of it which he showed with regards to Maurizio Sarri, there's question marks from that moment in the cup final for you, isn't there?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, when you go back to that as a manager, would he have done the same thing under Frank Lampard? I'm not quite sure. You know, under Sarri, you know, for what he did, it's disrespected. You know, the full football club. You know, there's probably been doubts since then, but you know, Chelsea have not been able to bring somebody in because of the ban and stuff like that as well. And but you seen the last game, you know, Caballero was in it, so you know he obviously doesn't trust him. I think but when you spend so much money on a goalkeeper,
statement, isn't it?
But I think for me, it shows you how far football is. You don't want to say fallen, but when goalkeepers are now going for 70, 80 million, you look at David De Gea, the highest paid player, and it's, if you're going to goalkeeper, come on, if you're stick the gloves on, save a couple of shots.
If you're going to spend 70 million on a keeper, it'd best be the best one in the world,
and he best back himself to be there every single week.
Every single week. And what Lampard's probably pulling his hair out is the fact that he's got a big, nice chunk of money that he can go and improve his team. He don't want to be having to spend 60 million on another keeper. That's the issue that he's got. So Kepa needs to, you know, step up to the plate and get it right, because what he can't be is, you know, Liverpool brought in Alisson, and Alisson's the best keeper in the world. You spend that on Kepa, and he can't get in your team. I
think also, speaking about Chelsea, a lot of the strikers you go back to Didier Drogba, a lot of the goalkeepers you go back to Timo Courtois and Peter Cech, and you compare them to them, where it's maybe unfair. You know, and a lot of strikers that come in and the goalkeepers that come in, they were two outstanding. Well,
unfair.
3 outstanding.
They spent 70 million on him.
Yeah, I know. I agree. But what I'm saying is, like,
he wouldn't walk off the pitch in a cup final.
How much would Peter Cech not have been signed for nowadays? Do you know what I mean? So it's
relative, isn't it, for different eras?
It sure is.